Welcome back to the Human Instruction. In this subject, we'll be going over race. Race to where? What is race? Where did race come from? And where are we going? What is the origin of man? Some say that the modern Homo sapiens evolved around 200,000 years ago. Some say we have been around a lot longer than that, while others claim that we have been around for a lot less than 200 years.
200,000.
We know that the earliest human origins originated from one source, which is Africa. Of course, at one time, basically, all of the world was one giant mass. And through that mass, and the origin of people, which was one origin, which some call the Chatham man, and while others call it the original Ebony Asiatic man. And that at one point there was what we call the Adam, which is the original tribe of us, the humans. And that this original tribe then migrated into Asia, Australia, Europe, Russia, America, and all over the planet. Now, some scientists tried to orchestrate a cabal of the origin of man, claiming that, well, it was the Australopithecus or Homo habilis to Homo erectus to Homo Neanderthal. Then us, of course, the Homo sapien. But when you begin to look at the evidence for the theory of this Australopithecus, aka Lucy, you will find that this is and was a fairy tale, a farce, in which the people work together to attempt to create a narrative, a theory, and then claiming it as fact by taking the skulls of apes and a human jawbone and the teeth of pigs, and then teeth of a pig, and say, all right, we found the missing link. Okay, knowing that they had made a Frankenstein's monster out of different species to try to create one species, to say, okay, here we found it, knowing that they deliberately are using pig teeth and jawbone of a human that they had to shave off to attach it to the skull of an ape, and say, all right, we found it, the missing link, yay, let's put it all in a textbook and tell everybody this is fact, and say, oh, this is the origin of man. But of course, this is all a lie. It's a farce in which people are still allowed to believe this nonsense. Of course, there was an original structure, but when you claim anything as a theory and then you or even try to say it as fact, and then you doctor up evidence, and then you continue to perpetuate this ignorance. So you can claim, well, this is the origin. This is the opposite of what the Adam, or the opposite of the original one tribe. To deny, the what you call the Asiatic ebony man as the one source in which the one gene is split into different tribes throughout the world, and then you have an overall gene that creates these different tribes. But there was an obvious beginning to all of this. but many people have trouble in figuring out how we had it at one point, because there is evidence at one point that there was giant fossils like giant lizards and giant sharks, giant orangutans, giant reptiles, giant lizards, giant oysters, giant bugs, flies that are the size of a foot long, and giant fauna, giant cat-like creatures too, giant elephants. And these are things we do have fossils to. And all of these fossils of these large creatures that now have gotten smaller. So some are implying that, well, it's pretty obvious if all these things were bigger, there must have been some sort of giant humanoids. Some say that they were never found. Some say that they were found, and there's a cover-up because there are stories of, well, there were giant skeletal remains that people claim periodically, and says they were contributed to the museums, and the museums don't have a recollection of to these giant bones. But in any case, they did find the bigger ones that are displayed, and there's pictures of it showing these giant, what were giant and now are smaller, but it's the same exact DNA. And there, of course, are things that appear to be the same, but are not the same. Like there's a lot of cat creatures, but their DNA is not compatible. Nor did it originate from the other cat-like creature. But they appear to be the same. Just like there are creatures that appear to be humanoid. Especially if you've never seen that creature, some may say, well, this was, us, or rather than just an extinct individual creature that just had features that would appear to be humanoid, like a monkey or an ape, or other such creatures that are not human in origin or in DNA, although somewhat compatible, not truly compatible, but resembling. But there's a lot of things that resemble humans, even pigs, at some point, but they're not humanoid, nor do they have the capacity. But all things in this planet all do follow that same structure. So we're all related. Everything is somehow is related to the structure of energy and a working system as to how they were engineered and brought forth. Now, there are many theories as to why these things were bigger, and a lot of people are either dumbfounded or they're making guesses, and they're destroying the whole structure as to the evidence that they do have, as opposed to the evidence that they're conjuring up, as opposed to some say that the evidence that people are hiding from us to keep us in confusion as to knowing what the real truth is. Some say, well, it was due to that at one point, well, perhaps there was a different atmosphere here on the planet, which may be likely, maybe not. But again, these are theories unless proven, but it may be provable because we're making leaps and bounds in their scientific method of understanding these principles and how we can attain the truth. So some say there was like a higher form of oxygen that made these things things bigger, and there are many other theories, including alien manipulation of our genetic code, and what would have made things bigger. Also from Neanderthals to the Big Bang, to the atom, to RNA, to DNA. Sounds good as a theory. Well, I mean, of course, they call it perpetual slime, or the original goo in which all life had evolved from. this original goo of nothingness, which had the strands after the DNA, after the Big Bang rather. So it started from, I guess everything starts from the atom, and then it grows from there to, again, the RNA and the DNA. All this sounds good, but the theory has yet to be replicated in scientific environment. All this was because we all lacked this understanding to replicate it ourselves from RNA to DNA and to create life. So of course there's something else that we're lacking, that something else has the ability or capability or the structure in order to create this life source from no life source. And in each organism was distinctly created on its own, but at the same time have all the same ingredients. So although it was like one component that started it, there's something else that's beyond our, technically right now, our ability or capability of measuring and growing life itself from the very smallest of molecules without the need of having to have that source there, what some people call a hidden structure or God, that would enable to make something out of nothing or this out of that by its ability to do so, in which we lack not only the ability to do that, but to understand it, which also is relevant because if you're unable to do this, and it follows reason that something else had started from that, you would need to know the steps that it took in order to replicate it or to truly understand it, unless you then begin to either use different tools or acknowledge that there is something other than a physical that we have yet to pinpoint exactly how from ether to this actual physical existence that we come around to having this life. So while many claim from nothing, and that we had evolved from nothing, as opposed to those that we were evolved or not. Evolved is a tricky word, but let's just say we came about to be through something. And which then we begin to learn exactly how things work, as opposed to we came about from nothing. So if your theory is nothing from the beginning, then there'll be nothing from the end. But when you begin to understand life itself and how the things work, you'll see that it indeed is something to it, and we're beginning to grow in our understanding exactly how it came to be and how we can continue on this evolving motion that can only be set in place if we do follow this curriculum of patterns that gives life, as opposed to a pattern that gives death. And so these are people who are claiming something from nothing and telling you, oh yeah, well this is the truth, as opposed to those who are claiming something from something, because then you have something at least to understand, and then you can build on that, as opposed to having nothing you could understand, because it's all either irrelevant or it came about on its own for no reason. Then your reason for your existence or being, or even your structure or what you do, is therefore follows that same pattern. So first you have these people who do know, or some people that do know exactly what's going on, or a reasonable understanding of that. And then they create this agenda in which they try to keep you ignorant by not educating you and not telling you the truth as to what is. And therefore you have people who want to argue, and they use emotion rather than logic in order to understand the truth of our origin. And they go a step further to use threats and murder or killing others to subdue the knowledge by keeping you ignorant and not even letting you publish books that directly counters theirs. So you can have several different books, and you can come up to the exact theory or the best theory in order to find the reality as what is the truth. But these people directly follow a pattern as to what is not truth by confusing the truth by multiple theories and not letting the people who have the best or the greatest theories to either be in a position to teach or to even sell their material, in which then books become either banned openly or banned secretly, and that works for either religion or any sort of knowledge into almost any field. So then they make this reality, again, it yields to lies rather opposed to yielding to structure or truth or the scientific method. They would much rather suppress the truth and teach lies so they can continue on the understanding that they know, which is below that which is below, which is above, to keep them able to subdue you and keep you as a servant, due to the fact that they know how the structure truly is, but they're not going to give you that knowledge because there's hidden secret knowledge that they deem you not worthy, but yet they are not worthy due to the fact that they're not using the knowledge in order to continue to grow. So if you're not growing in that direction, mentally, physically, spiritually, then what happens then is that you're dying from the lack of knowledge and truth. And so then you are basically subservient to the person who either says or claims they have the truth, when they don't even let you either know, or they don't teach you correctly, or they suppress anything that they find in order to keep you in this state of ignorance and not allow you to have a greater degree of understanding, so at least you can compare the two and come up with your own conclusions. Because inevitably, when you build a house of cards in this regard for understanding and knowledge, it's easily blown over by its illogical understanding and just blatant disregard to truth. So they try to appear to be true, but their argument doesn't, the basis isn't on logic, but on emotion, as to say, this is the truth because we'll either hurt you or suppress you or kill you because this is the truth. Not this is the truth because, well, it follows logic and reasoning. Now, if you have something superior that you would like to bring to the table, then we'll be glad to listen and compare and find, using the scientific method or scientific principle, in order to come up with a true conclusion that you could actually see and follow in reality, and as opposed to, well, this is it, and let's take a look at that fossil, let's check out the DNA of each piece that you put together, let's make sure they fit together, and they'll be like, no, it's not here, you can't touch it, you can't examine it. And they do that a lot for a lot of these different beliefs. So, for all intents and purposes, we begin with the Chatham Man, a.k.a. the Ebony Asiatic Man, because that right there is, it's provable, and you can see it on timelines on basically our history. You can see at one time that there was indeed a African tribe, or African kind of tribe in in the Americas right here. But then there's also other peoples that did arrive, and there's a broad spectrum of people. But in any case, there was one original tribe that had come about, because it's not that they sporadically just started sprouting out everywhere, but it was the origin to one location, and after that location then through